guys, welcome to the Train Parrot. We are approaching a very critical moment. We might be able this week to flip the weekly, but that just means one thing. We could also see a rejection at critical levels and remain with the momentum lost on the weekly. There's a bunch of signals telling me that we should see a low right after this massive leg to the upside. Bitcoin just made 25% since the lows at 53K. So in my opinion, at the very least, we should be looking for a retest at this point in time, potentially after taking the liquidity that is slightly higher than 66K. I want to look into that. I want to look at the levels that we need to protect if we saw that midweek reversal. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and if you feel like supporting the channel, watch this video until the very end, and do not go anywhere without leaving a comment down below, because that's really helping the channel to continue growing. Looking at some tweets, we can see that things are starting to pile up on the bullish side. For example, here we have the SEC has given preliminary approval to at least 3 Ethereum ETFs issuers to start trading next week on Tuesday. This is coming from Reuters. Craig Wright officially states that he is not the Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi's wallet contains a massive amount of Bitcoin, and my preference is that that person no longer exists, or that the wallet got lost and no one has access to it. Otherwise, it's a massive selling pressure that can trigger at any point in time. Let's say you are the creator of Bitcoin and you know that you have billions accumulated on your wallet. If I was that person, I will be thinking every day of my life, when is going to be my payday? And speaking about one of the most bearish persons on crypto and Bitcoin, Peter Schiff is today celebrating that the gold is up another $8 now, trading at a new record high, almost 2,500. Just as gold started to move higher, Bitcoin started to move lower. It really seems that Bitcoin has developed a strong negative correlation to gold. That means that Bitcoin to succeed, gold must fail. The fact that we are seeing an all-time high on gold, it's implying that there are still lots of people that are scared about the market. It's very interesting to see the S&P, the Nasdaq putting new all-time highs. Yesterday we had the Russell 2000, as we can see here, putting almost 2,300, having a beautiful breakout actually on the RSI with some high signals forecasting the move up. Since the Nasdaq lost the momentum in here and has been printing lower lows and lower highs on the RSI, there is a potential rotation from Nasdaq and from S&P into lower cap. The Russell symbolizes the smallest stocks in the market. This is higher risk. So the fact that there is a rotation here implies as well a potential early move into higher risk. And I believe Bitcoin pumping with the Russell confirms the fact that we are seeing more money flowing into the system, potential changes to the monetary policy, or at least the expectations of that. We can see as well that the DXY is starting to look a bit toppy with lower highs and now breaking the structure with a first lower low, following a double top in this area, a target of around the bottom of this triangle formation, possibly slightly below the trend line. So all of that is bearish for DXY, for the dollar, but it's precisely what we need for altcoin season and for Bitcoin to continue going higher. Yesterday we published this potential formation of a head and shoulders with a neck of 62.6. The price didn't break the neck, so that means that there was a never signal to take the trade, got invalidated when we broke above 64.4. We printed a high and we are in the process of retesting 65. We still have a massive CME gap, at least on the 4-hour, that spans from 57.8 to almost 61. But if we look at this on the daily, the gap only goes from slightly below 60 to 61. And the target of the head and shoulders was precisely pointing at that. That means that potentially we're going to fill that gap later on. There's always the chance that it will never get filled, but that has a very, very, very low likelihood. BlackRock and Fidelity now own a combined almost 500,000 of Bitcoin. That's worth 32 billion to their spot Bitcoin ETF. That is incredible. quite a lot of that accumulation has happened in the past 7 days. Yesterday we have a higher amount of inflows, this time beyond the 5,000 mark. Now we are doing 6,500 Bitcoin in a single day. We were topping at 300 and yesterday we did 422 in total. And this might be potentially something bearish. Let me know in the comments if you agree. But this morning, Donald Trump warns Powell not to cut rates before the US election. The elections are in November. Interestingly, we are still seeing the Fed Watch tool showing 98.1% towards ease. So whether this is going to change the rest of the day after people realize about this news or not, because let's face it, most of the people are getting really bullish purely based on the expectation of an ease coming from monetary policies. And now it's not just PayPal, but also Stripe is about to allow Europeans to buy Bitcoin and crypto using their credit cards. This is also bullish for the market. Looking at the daily, good news because we have managed to confirm support at 64.5. That was strong resistance here and strong support before. And we are approaching the point of control at 67. We'll look later in the video how is that liquidity accumulated there. You can see that instead of coming here for a retest, the RSI continues to point higher, but the previous candles have been a lot bigger than one we are seeing today. So I'm still looking for a potential retest or some formation of a low around here. Whether it's today or tomorrow, we will have to see. I think the key to figure out when is that going to happen is to focus on the 4 hour. The 4 hour has had a quite healthy move to the upside from bottom of the range at 17. It managed to reach a top of 82. Now it's in the process of testing support. If we were to see any move like this with a retest here, potentially that is going to signal that we are finally looking for a low or a retest of this breakout. And I think that is very important that now we focus on what's going on with the open interest. You can see that in this whole range, starting from March, the open interest has had lows of 15 billion and topping at 20 million. That gives you a range of 5 billion, which in this case coincides with the highs of the price and the lows of the price as well. Pretty much every time we get to 15 billion, the market resets and it starts looking for a new high, independently of at what price that is happening. Around this low at 54K, the open interest was completely wiped back to the lows that we saw multiple times here. We can see here that at 64, we had a big move to the low 50s, and that's where we are currently now, at 18 billion. So if the market had enough incentive to continue going higher, we might see the open interest going from almost 19 billion to the top of slightly above 20 billion, just like we did when we reached 72K or in each of these 3 highs that we had closer to the all-time high. At the moment, we seem to be in a rally similar to this of the open interests, so hanging around the mid-range of the open interest and deciding whether we're gonna go for the top or if we are gonna see another rejection at this area and come back and reset once again that open interest. I think it's important to keep an eye on the 4-hour RSI. If anything like this happened, I will let you know. I'm sending myself an email as soon as this happens. So follow me on Twitter. My handle is Trading Parrot and I will let you know so you stay informed by the minute. And very important insight that probably you're not seeing anywhere else because everybody's too busy thinking whether Bitcoin now is going to 100K or 150K. And let me show you this. Every time that the Big Well Explorer hits a very high level, it means that there is loads of large wallets depositing into exchanges in preparation to sell. At this point in time, people are seeing that the price is going higher and they decide to deposit. That is not the behavior of a large wallet that has a long-term vision in mind. That is the look of a potential distribution going on. And if we look at CryptoQuant, we can see that ASOPR is showing us that people are realizing profits at this point in time, specifically in the past 24 hours. And this peak resulted in this drawdown of 20%. This peak here resulted in a drawdown of 24%. And the problem is that this peak occurred at the bottom of the price, and this new peak is occurring at the top of the price. Both of these deposits haven't been triggered. They are only accumulating in the exchange. So the bullet is in the gun. That's what I want to say. Whether it's going to get triggered, we don't know, but I want you to be informed. And now we are approaching the top of the bull market support band. We tested before as support. We lost it. We managed to break above the 21 weekly, and now we are getting at the top of the band. And I think in order for continuation, a conservative entry is to break out above the megaphone. That is something that has never faked out in the past. As soon as you're above it, you're off to the races. But being above the bull market support band, as you can see, it doesn't necessarily guarantee continuation to the upside. It can perfectly be multiple times a fake out, or like here, that we managed to be above it and then the next week we were below it again. So the only signal that so far at this time in the market has proven 100% confidence that we are going higher, at least when it comes to past performance, is breaking above the megaphone. So I will say, if you didn't manage to DCA around this area below the bull market support band, buying above the bull market support band at this point in time, I think represents a riskier option, since you could still go below the bull market support band again. In fact, that happens very often in every cycle. And looking at the miners capitulation, we have done so far almost 70 days of it. And I was looking back in time and I struggled to find anything above 2 months, but there are a few exceptions. This one is also 60 days in 2021, and in here you have 73 days. This was in 2019, but back in 2011, we have a miners that lasted 115 days. So I believe that if the price continues to go higher from here, it's very likely that in the upcoming days or weeks, we're going to see the buy signal that we are waiting for. We are now at 65 days. So let's say if that was 73 days, that will be by the end of July. If it was 115 days, that will put the buy signal around early September. But since the last time we had such a long capitulation period was in 2011, I will expect more that buy signal to come by the end of July or early August. And I've been publishing information both on my Twitter and shorts across multiple media on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook about the status of Bitcoin when it comes to the weekly RSI. And we are in such a critical moment, and I don't see anybody talking about this breakdown and this potential retest with further continuation to the downside, or the plan B of this breaking above the dotted trend line with a potential bullish breakout on the weekly. In my opinion, this is the line in the sand to be able to distinguish whether we are in the middle of a fake out, or if really what we should be expecting is a large big move to the upside. We're on Wednesday, and unfortunately we need to see how this closes by the end of Sunday. But so far we're at 58, and I'm expecting to see that resistance at 59, but it all depends at what precise point we see the touch. We might see touch on the yellow line, but then that will mean that we need to go slightly higher to see the bullish breakout, maybe at a level of 61. So this is still in development, and I need to keep you updated on Twitter. I updated the RSI weekly resistance to a level of 60. It used to be at 59 before, and that now is at a level of 67.3. Very interesting, because that coincides by a difference of a few dollars with the point of control of this whole range, attracting the price, strong resistance. And not just that, but we have in this whole range from 53 up until 71, this is the largest level of liquidity accumulation. You can see it here on Trading Different in the 4-hour time frame, and you can also see it on High Block Capital accumulating at the 67. That is short-term liquidity from the past month. The largest is at the two extremes of the range, of course, at 51 and then 73, 74. But the 67 now becomes crucial. So I want to see if we reach that 67, if we see 65 sold almost to 62. So now that we are approaching larger liquidity, when these people get liquidated, I want to see if we see any rejection to put a low relative to that low that we saw at around 62.63. If we did that and we end up breaking the 4-hour RSI from this trend line, I will expect Bitcoin to now start searching for a low, a retest, hopefully a higher low with another attempt to the upside. Guys, only during this weekend, Trading Different is offering this discount. You can find the link in the description to get a 20% off to see liquidation levels live in your chart on different timeframes, including the 1-second timeframe. The fair value gaps are pretty much all gone. All that is left is the 70.6K. On fire charts, we can see that at 67, people are starting to pile some ask liquidity. On the live order book, we can see a humble 500 level at 66.5. There used to be liquidity in the order book at 67 when the price was aggressively going into 65, but has been pulled off. I think the intention of that was to short, but since the price didn't go there, they remove it, and I'm very sure that if the price came back to around 67, they are gonna come back and want to short from there. We have 400 at 72. All the buying from 40 to 45 is gone, and all the buying from 51 to 52 is gone as well. New levels are piling up from 60 to 61. The hive has performed pretty well. We had a daily hive that has now managed to reach the target at 63. That got triggered at 58. And on the 4-hour, we are having a signal that triggered at 65 with a target of 62.8. Retail has started humbly to come back, increasing the interest over time of Bitcoin to 24. I remind you that one day we were here at around 15, which is the lowest number that we have seen from this indicator since 2020. Being at 24 is pretty significant because it's halfway through to our high of 52 that we have in March, but still way further away from the highest that we had during the previous bull market. So this is telling us that retail is coming back, but we are very early still. Guys, I have an ongoing airdrop on Bybit. The link is in the description. You trade with $100 and you get a position airdrop of $500. More details in the link in the description. And also, if you sign up with my referral link to Bybit, you can also claim up to 30,000 in rewards. And if you provide your Bybit UID on my Discord server, you can claim 70% discount on all the memberships of Trading Parrot. If you already have a referral on Bybit, you can transfer it using the instructions on Discord, and Bybit accepts Palau residence digital card as well. I left you on my Discord server. I did a video a while ago explaining how to get a digital residence so you can also trade with Bybit. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.